Hello, everyone. Welcome back into the hospitality room. It's been a while, but we are still alive. We're still here, and just like the groundhog, we come out at a specific time of year for sure, and that is the NFL draft.
Bingo. Got to make our mock selections. We've been doing our homework for this, or at least I have been for months because my season ended a whole lot earlier than Blair's did, talking
Yeah.
about the NFL. So we've been preparing for the draft. How do we get better for the future? Tomorrow starts today with the
Yes.
NFL draft.
And refresh my mind. I am so out of it. Uh, the draft is where this year?
It's in Green Bay.
That's right. It's at Lambeau Field,
Yeah. Yep.
which is
Our
kind
good
of
friend
cool.
Dave Walker's going to be there.
Oh, sweet. Well, I
Yeah.
hope Dave tweets us out some pictures. I would love to see that. I'm sure he will tailgate.
Hmm.
I would be disappointed if
Yes,
Dave was not going to tailgate.
indeed.
And of course, I guess the obvious question is what do you cook in the tailgate for the draft? Brats?
Uh, Well, I mean, you're there a long time. I mean, there's nothing short about the draft, especially if you're talking about day three. So you're going to be there a while. So you may be cooking not only brats, but you got to be cooking several meals to get you through the day. You got to fuel the body.
Yes, you do. Okay. All right. So we have agreed to. Oh, let me put the first topic up. I'm not on the. Oh, here we go. It's been a while, obviously.
Hmm.
So the first
Got to
topic.
knock the rust off.
Yes, the rust is off. It's the hospitality room mock draft. Rah. I didn't have time to build one for each team. I'm sorry. So
It's all right.
I'm not. But I will pick first because the Chiefs are odd numbered, and Bobby
Hmm.
will pick even because the Patriots are even numbered. Which, how
Right.
glorious is that it worked
Yeah,
out?
works out well.
So we shall begin. We are playing along on Pro Football Focus. As you can see, they have a lovely draft board there. And with that, the Titans are the first pick. And I don't think it's any surprise. Why can I not adjust this? Oh, I just did, and I didn't realize it. Okay, I see how it's going to work. All right, let me go back to. Okay, they're going to pick a quarterback, and I think it's kind of
Hmm.
obvious. They're going to go with Cam Ward. So that will be the first pick in the draft. Though, honestly, I have my reservations about Cam Ward
Hmm.
being a franchise quarterback.
I agree. I think this year, more so than years past, is really showing that the talent level, the high end talent level, is not there at quarterback. If there is one, I do agree that it's going to be Cam Ward at number one. I just don't think that teams are desperate enough like they have been in years past because the talent level is not there. And one thing that has been floated out there recently, I guess in the last 24 to 48 hours, is one NFL assistant coach came out and just blasted Shador Sanders and saying that it was the
Ooh.
worst draft process interview that he's ever sat in on. He's lazy. He blames his teammates and just really went to town. And this was released from NFL.com media. And Pelissero is the one who actually posted it. So the fact that that's getting thrown out there, either one, they're trying to throw some smoke out there and a team's going to come up and poach Shador Sanders. But realistically, they're kind of been saying what you and I have been saying all along is he's not that good. He didn't really lead his team to many victories, and you're not going to really tie the future of your franchise on a quarterback that you're not completely sold on. So I'm with you. I don't think quarterbacks go. Cam Ward's going to go number one. They've already made that abundantly clear. So that
Mm-hmm.
takes you to number two in the Browns. And the Browns now have the pick of the litter. Do you take a generational talent in Travis Hunter who can play two positions? Do you want him to play two positions, or do you take what a lot of people think is the next Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter? I think the Browns are smart enough. The star power is there. They're going to take Travis Hunter. Oxymoron that the Browns are smart. I get that, but I don't think they can
Yeah,
pass on a reigning Heisman winner that's going to sell jerseys and put seats in the stands.
it's almost too obvious a pick to screw up, but
Yeah,
it is the Browns. And
it's
of
the
course, I
Browns.
mean, okay. Do you buy the thing Hunter says, if I can't play both ways, I'm not playing?
No,
I don't
as
either.
soon as that first paycheck clears, you're going to do whatever they tell you to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can only fish for so long and you don't have any money coming in
Hmm.
because your NIL deal's over.
Right.
So, Yeah, so bizarre. So that puts the Giants on the clock. And I think all of us who saw Hard Knocks have no
Yeah.
faith in the Giants organization to make the right call. A lot of people think Shador goes here.
Hmm.
Man, they're not a quarterback away.
No, they're
So,
not.
with that in mind, I would pick Carter from Penn State, though I don't think that's what the Giants will do. So the question is, for our mock draft, are we doing what we think they should take or what we think the team will do?
This is all you. You are the general manager of every odd numbered team in this draft, Blair.
Okay,
You got
then
16 of them.
then I'm taking Carter. I'm
Yeah,
taking the
got
defensive
to.
end that's could potentially be a Hall of Famer,
Hmm.
but I have no faith that the Giants will do that.
Yeah. What's going to be really interesting with the Giants here, and I agree with you, they've got to take Carter. Is they don't necessarily have a huge need for pass rush. They've got Thibodeau, they've got some other players there, so they could go a couple of different directions. But
Mm-hmm.
what this does allow them to do is maybe you take Carter, and now you can maybe add a draft pick or two by trading Thibodeau, maybe you
Yes.
move an offensive lineman. Evan Neal's a name that's been thrown out a bunch. Maybe they try to ship him. So I agree with you. If I'm the Giants, I'm taking Carter, no doubt. Now to the Patriots at number 4. This is where
Ooh, yes.
all the drama comes in. Over the last, I'd say 12 hours, really since I woke up this morning, I'm seeing a lot of reports that New England is open and entertaining the idea of trading out of number 4.
Okay.
And the team that is I'm hearing the most is Chicago at 10
Mm,
because Chicago wants Ashton Genty, the running back.
okay.
We're not doing trades in our mock drafts, but I'm just throwing
Right.
out the hypotheticals. If you pull out the draft capital chart, so every pick has a value
Mm-hmm.
for the New England to trade down from number 4 to number 10, it would cost the Bears their second round pick, which is like number 38. Somewhere I believe it's something like that. If that is offered to
Wow.
New England, you take it, no question, because you're still going to get a really good offensive lineman at number 10 as compared to number 4, but you also get an additional second round pick. All that
Mm-hmm.
being said, everybody knows who New England's taking at number 4. If assuming they don't trade out and assuming the Giants draft Carter, you got to go Will Campbell, tackle from LSU. You don't play
Yeah.
at that high level. As a left tackle in the SEC, he had 2 missed blocks in the run game in his entire college career. You don't pass that up. You got to save Drake May's backside, and he's your plug and play left tackle.
I like it. I think that's a really
Yeah.
solid pick. So that puts the Jaguars on the clock. Interesting. You have ATN, so I don't think Genty is in play here.
Mm-hmm.
You need line help. You need receivers. I would take Membo from Missouri, the tackle. I know that's
Okay.
probably you're probably reaching a little bit, but Trevor Lawrence again. I mean, I'm not sold on Trevor Lawrence, but if he's on his
Mm-hmm.
backside, I'm really not sold on him. So I would take the tackle to protect him.
Okay. Yeah. And so what Jacksonville does is really going to affect, I think, 6 through 15. A
Yes.
lot of people think they're going to take Genty. They may even take Mason Graham, the defensive interior lineman from Michigan. Whoever it is, whoever Jacksonville takes at 5 is going to start the trickle down effect. Everybody's
Yes.
been saying recently that Oakland is not a player at Genty at 6. And so if Jacksonville passes him at 5, they're going to say he's not a player there at 6. So I'm going to go Mason Graham, the defensive tackle, to the Raiders at 6. They've got a lot of holes, but defensive line is certainly going to be one. And rushing the passer, getting pressure from the interior, we've seen as the blueprint to pressure Mahomes and get him off the
Yes.
spot. Obviously, they play in that division. I think that's a smart move for the Raiders.
And you put him with Max Crosby. I mean,
Yes, who you've locked
good
up. Yeah.
lord. I mean, what a great way to learn. Plus, let's face it, the AFC West is going to be a challenge. Sean
Mm-hmm.
Payton's figuring out in Denver. Harbaugh's going to
Yep.
get the Chargers going. Pete Carroll's going to bring some long needed stability to the
Yeah.
Raiders. Eeh, it's it's
It's already a
it's going to
really
be
good division, and
difficult.
it's about to get even better. I agree with that.
Yes. All right, and that brings us to the old drama-filled Jets on the clock. Good lord, they have so many needs. Um, I mean, Their quarterback is
Justin
remind me,
Fields.
Justin
Yep.
Fields. He needs targets.
Yep.
So I would take McMillan from Arizona, though
Hmm.
I'm not totally sold on him, but I think he's got the potential. The other question with involving the Jets, not only you have the player aspect, but then you have the whole New York aspect because you got to have a thick
Hmm.
skin to be able to survive in that environment. So we'll see. Tucson to New York City is a big
Yeah.
stretch.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a decent pick. I think tight end may be in play there as well, even though they don't necessarily need it.
True.
One thing that was brought up in a podcast, I think it was Todd McShay who mentioned it, is how much input does Aaron Glenn have? Obviously, a new defensive coach coming in. Maybe you try to load up with a defensive, even though they don't need a lot of help on that side of the ball. Maybe you go get more defensive players to try to make them a top 10 defense. But that moves us to number 8. Carolina is always a wild card. Genty's still available. But obviously, I don't think a running back makes a lot of sense for Carolina. I think you need to either help Bryce Young offensively, or you got to go out there and get dudes on the defensive side. And I think they go pass rusher. And so I'm actually going to have to scroll down a little bit because Pro Football Focus has him a little lower ranked than a lot of teams. But Jalen Walker, the outside linebacker from Georgia, is number 25 on this list. But I think most people think he's going to be a top 10 talent.
Hmm.
So Carolina takes Jalen Walker at number 8.
I like that, and I'm kind of surprised that he's rated that low on the
I
draft. I
agree.
mean, let's face it, defensive players out of Georgia
They
usually
know how to
pan
play in the
out.
league. Yeah.
They know how to play in the league big time. All right, that brings us to the Saints, who are a enigma because they are so far over the cap. You got you've got a running back, even though that's
Hmm.
listed on their needs. I don't know. I mean, you don't even know who your quarterback is because the whole Derek Carr staying or going thing.
Hmm.
You need linemen. I think maybe you take Nolan out of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Just
Okay. That's
kind of
not
a
bad. I mean,
safety.
one thing. Yeah, I think Mel Kiper said, 94. Cam Jordan for New Orleans is probably got a year left. And he's been
Mm,
the heart and soul of that defense for a long time. Got to find the next guy who's going to lead your defense. I like your idea of going defensive line to help sure things up because they've got a lot of questions, obviously, at quarterback. They're not going to be a player at Sanders if you listen to all the experts. Even if he falls all the way to them at number 40, they're not interested in Sanders as their quarterback.
yeah.
Maybe Jackson Dart lands in New Orleans, maybe these other options. So that brings us to Chicago. I mentioned that the rumors are there that they want to trade up to get Genty. If he
Hmm.
happens to fall in their lap at number 10, they got to scoop him up. So Ashton Genty, no brainer, running back to the Bears.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I like that pick very much because he's only going to help Caleb Williams.
Hmm.
He could potentially be another Sweetness. I'm not saying he will
Yeah.
be, but size wise, I think they're very similar.
Hmm. I like Genty. If he goes into a situation where they're not expecting him to carry the ball 25 times a game like he did in college, you put
Hmm.
some weapons around him. Chicago's done some nice things in the offseason for the second straight year. They've rebuilt their offensive line. They've done the things on paper that's going to make them a much better team. Now they got to go out there and do it on the field. That's the big question mark.
Yes, I like that pick a lot. And I guess the big question is he going to fall down? And how much
Hmm.
draft capital are you willing to spend to maybe jump up to prevent that from
Hmm.
happening? That's one of the great storylines, I think, in this draft.
Hmm. Yeah, and I don't think he makes it to 10. And there's a lot of smoke that he goes 5. This
Yeah.
is our draft. This you and I are making our selections here. But
Yes.
what I've seen from all the experts is Jacksonville really likes him at 5. And if you really want to guarantee that you're going to get him, you got to go up to number 4 with New England to trade above
Yeah.
Jacksonville and draft Genty. And that's why, if you've got that number, that second round pick, and you're willing to part ways, and you think you've done enough in the offseason, maybe Chicago pulls that trigger because I don't think New England would say no to that.
No, be hard. And of course, it depends on what they're offering and whatnot. So
Yes.
it will be interesting.
Yep.
Which brings us to the
Number 11 to
49ers.
you. Yeah.
Yes, and here's a team that needs a lot and that has gotten old very fast. Man,
Yes.
guard, tackle, defensive line, cornerback, linebacker. You need everything. I mean, I don't know where you start. Probably in the secondary. I mean, Starks has dropped. He's rated
Hmm.
8. You're at 11, so it's kind of a steal pick. I would almost take Sparks in the secondary.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you lose Hafunga. You lose Dre Greenlaw to the back end. Obviously, a linebacker there. They've lost a bunch. I think offensive lineman or safety makes a lot of sense for San Francisco. I agree with you there. That brings us to the Cowboys at number 12. Everybody knows the Cowboys need a bunch. They got to go offense. Tyler Warren still being available at 12 almost probably trumps what I thought was going to happen. I think the Cowboys would probably take a receiver here. But if Tyler Warren is still available at this point in the draft, you got to get him. You got to go out there and give Dak a big-time weapon down the seam. So Tyler Warren falls into the laps of the Cowboys.
I like that pick. I think he's going to be. He's a perfect fit for what they need and for
Mm-hmm.
what Dak needs. Somebody just. The Cowboys are not. They're better when they have a quality tight end.
Yes,
And
agreed.
as much grief as we give Jerry, his drafts are usually pretty good. Now,
Mm-hmm.
free agent signings, not so much, but draft
Yeah.
signings, usually pretty good. So that moves us on to the Dolphins, who need a guard, tackle, defensive lineman, cornerback,
Mm-hmm.
and probably a sit down with Tyreek Hill to figure out what's going on with him.
Oh my gosh! Can you stop getting arrested, please?
I mean, yeah. I mean, dude, come on. And then
Yeah.
I won out. Oh no, I won in. There is so much
Mm-hmm.
drama with the Dolphins. And then we've seen their split personality because with Tua, they're one team. Without Tua, they're a totally horrible
Completely
team.
different. Yeah.
I don't know. Mike McDonald's got to be on the hot seat, but
Mm-hmm.
who knows? So with cornerback being a problem, do you go Johnson or do you go Barron? Or do you get another weapon for Tua to throw to and Burden? That's a great
Mm-hmm.
question. I think maybe you go Barron from Texas.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me close my filter. So Jade Barron. I think offensive line would make a lot of sense for them too with those needs. But
Yes.
you got to stop somebody. You can't beat everybody 40-35.
No.
I'm with you. So now we get to a real dumpster fire. Indianapolis. They bring in Daniel Jones. You've got Anthony Richardson, who is not the answer at quarterback. We've already seen that. You need a tight end. You need some guard play. You need some line play. I think they go tight ends. They try to help their quarterback, whoever it's going to be. Colston Loveland, the tight end for Michigan's available. They've got him ranked 16 according to Pro Football Focus. Obviously, they would kill to have Warren fall to them. It's not going to happen. But I think they go tight end to Loveland for Michigan.
Okay. I can buy that. Now we go to the Falcons, who who have still have two quarterbacks on the
Yeah.
roster, even though one of them is not going to play.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't moved him yet, but
Mm-hmm.
and the closer we get to the draft, the less they're going to get. They need receivers. So I would almost, to me, Burden from Missouri is the perfect Falcon because he's got all sorts of potential, but he's probably not going to live up to it. So he's perfect for
Uh-huh.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Watching him is frustrating because he is such a diva
Yeah.
on the field. He throws tantrums. He throws his mouthpiece. He blames everybody but himself. He doesn't go out there, but he's an explosive player. So I agree with you. He makes a lot of sense for Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that takes us to the Cardinals at 16. They need offensive line help, defensive line help, maybe some help in the secondary. One guy who's kind of shooting up the draft the boards lately is Zikaru from Boston College, the edge guy. I think that might be a bit of a stretch. Will Johnson, though, the corner for Michigan, still sitting out there. Patrick Peterson, even though he's past his prime, is just retired. I think you try to go out there and replicate the success you had with Peterson for so long. So Will Johnson, cornerback for Michigan, to the Cardinals.
I think it's a pretty solid pick. That brings us to the Bengals. They need a guard, they need a linebacker, they need some D line help. Man, you feel like they're not far away, but they've got a lot of drama with the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take Mike Green keeps falling the edge rusher from Marshall. I would take
Yep.
Campbell out of Alabama because linebackers out of Alabama seem to end up doing pretty well in the NFL.
Yep. What they do here, talking about Cincinnati at 17, may tip your hand to what they're going to do with Trey Hendrickson. He led
True.
the NFL in sacks this past year. If they can get a edge guy, whether it's Green, as Zakaru from Boston College, some of these other players, if they happen to fall and they say, okay, we're going to take them at number one, I think they move Hendrickson on day two. Maybe they get a second-round pick for him. Maybe they get a third for him. Try to get some kind of compensation because that's headed for divorce pretty quickly. So they're going to have to maximize the compensation that they get for Hendrickson.
Yeah, but man, what a risk. You send your best
Yeah.
defensive player away and you just put more burden on Joe Burrow in the offense.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, you
it's
do.
the Bengals. So
Right.
why would we be
So,
surprised?
yeah. Yeah. So now we're going 18 to Seattle. I think you've made the trade. You got rid of Geno. You're starting over, essentially. You got Sam Darnold. You got to protect the quarterback. We saw what happens to Darnold when he faces pressure in Week 18, in the first round of the playoffs. So you got to solidify up the middle. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. I'm going to go to the guard from North Dakota State.
Mm.
Where is he? He may be listed as a tackle on here. Gray Zabel. So he's listed as a tackle here, number 27 overall. Kelvin Banks still being there.
Yep.
You might think about taking a tackle, but Zabel's going to be a plug-and-play guard in the NFL. So I think Seattle stretches him out a little bit, and then they take him at 18.
I think that's a good pick. I think he's going to be he has the potential to be one of those guys that plays so far above where everybody thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good pick, which brings us to the Buccaneers. Need an edge rusher, need a linebacker, need a DB. Man, I mean, the Boston College and the Marshall edge rushers keep dropping. So I would think they would probably take, I can't say his name, but the one out of Boston College.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Either one of those guys, he may be a fringe first-round pick, but I think if he falls to 19 and if they like him more than Green from Marshall, that's a solid choice. I like it. So now here we get a little interesting with Denver at number 20. Everybody says they're going to take a running back, and I think the odds are as a 1.5 if there's two running backs taken in the first round of this year's draft. Do they think that the running back, Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, is worth the first-round pick? He's rated at number 26 according to Pro Football Focus. They need maybe some more weapons for the young quarterback. You need a center. And you look at what else is out there. But if Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State's available at 20, I think it's hard. I think you take receiver more than you take running back in round one. So I'm going the wideout from Ohio State.
Yeah, I was going to say, he is the kind of guy that Peyton's going to elevate to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
that's a really solid pick. The Steelers
Mm-hmm.
need a quarterback. Could be Aaron
Yep.
Rodgers, so you don't necessarily need to draft one. So I'm still shocked that hasn't happened. You need a running back. You need a tackle. You need a lot of things.
Yep.
I mean, it's unbelievable the Steelers are in disarray. I would say Simmons is probably your bet. Simmons or Banks, who you want to go with. I
Mm-hmm.
would probably go with Simmons, the tackle out of
Okay.
Ohio State.
Yep, that's a good pick. I mean, they need offensive line play. I mean, Pittsburgh's been stuck in this run of 8 to 10 years of just being mediocre. Like
Yeah, and
they're not
happy
bad
with it.
enough to get a good draft pick. They're not good enough to make a run in the playoffs. They're kind of stuck in a rut, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's Tomlin has not had a losing season, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything. I mean, when was the last time they were a threat in the playoffs? I mean, the
Yeah.
last few years
No.
under
Yeah.
Big Ben, they
Mm-hmm.
weren't going to do anything.
Yeah. They've not done much. So we're through 21 picks. Gets us to the Chargers at number 22. I think there's way too much familiarity with Harbaugh and the D lineman from Michigan, Kenneth Grant. He's going to go with a guy that he recruited, helped win him a national title, even though he might have been a youngster then. I think the D lineman makes a lot of sense because, again, like we talked about with the Raiders, got to find a way to rush passers if you play in the AFC West. And Kenneth Grant's going to be that defensive tackle that can help you do that.
And that's the other thing too. You mentioned Harbaugh's familiarity with him and with these guys. That's why his drafts the first 3 years or so after he's back from
Mm-hmm.
college are always so good because he knows
Yes.
he's really good at that stuff. So
Yeah. Wide
yeah.
receiver would make a lot of sense for them at 22, but I think that he knows you got to win up front and on defense in
Yes.
that division.
Oh, no question. Well, let's face it. In the NFL, you got to win up front. Period.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
he knows. It's almost like if he doesn't take his guy, that speaks volumes too, right?
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, for sure.
So that brings us to the Packers. Need a wide receiver, need an edge rusher, need a cornerback. They seem to do well with guys from smaller schools, and Mike Green is just sitting there, ranked 10th
Hmm.
overall. He's they've got pick number 23. To me, he fits perfectly into the
Yep.
Packer mentality.
Yeah, I agree with that. If one of the big receivers, if Egbuka is still there, maybe Greenback
Oh,
goes that. But
yeah.
I'm with you. They have had a lot of success with small school guys, and they're not afraid to take a risk on them. Makes a lot of sense. And that next brings it to another NFC North team at 24, the Minnesota Vikings. Need running back help. You need D line help. You need more than anything. I think you need maybe another weapon. You got a young quarterback. You're going to be starting a rookie. You got to make sure
Hmm.
he's protected. Running back might make a little sense here. Because you got to help your young guy. You got some really good receivers. Obviously, Addison, Jefferson. I mean, you got the tight ends. I think this is a luxury pick for Minnesota. So I'm going to go Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. Just give that offense. Can't hear you, Blair.
Sorry, I took the timer away, but I forgot to turn the timer off totally. So
Ah,
that's why we went too close. So we're
yep,
good. You picked
right,
Hampton. I
yep,
find it interesting they list him as a halfback.
yeah,
When was the last
yeah,
time you heard the term halfback?
yeah. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
PFP or PFF, get your stuff together.
Come on, people. All right, that brings us to the Texans. Interesting outfit. Need a wide receiver.
Hmm.
Need an offensive lineman.
Yeah, and you got two from
Golden's.
Texas. One
Yeah.
at each position, staring at you.
Yes. Do you value Banks or do you value Golden?
Hmm.
Well, I mean, which is the bigger need? Does Stroud need protected? Does he need well? He probably needs protected more than anything because he was running for his life a
Hmm.
little bit last year. So I'll take Banks.
Hmm. Excellent pick. If Banks falls to them at 25, I don't think they can run the card fast enough to the commissioner. They're going to
Yeah.
take him as fast as they can because you're exactly right. Stroud was on his back more than he was in the pocket last year. So now to the Rams, an offseason
Ooh.
that has been very, very interesting. Didn't know Stafford getting traded. Obviously, they ship off Cooper Cup. So Nakua is the guy now. They need more weapons. What do they do? They've got plenty of question marks, and they're not a traditional.
No.
McVay thinks outside the box, but I think here he understands we got to give our quarterback who's at the end of his career a chance to go the ball down the field. So I'm going the other Texas player. I'm going Matthew Golden here. I think that would make a lot of sense. Give Stafford another target in the passing game.
That totally makes sense. And man, McVay is so good at finding the right guys that
Mm-hmm.
fit his system. I mean, no one had any idea Nakua was going to be what he is, but the Rams
Yeah.
did. So they've got a great personnel department. Ravens, you need a guard, you need an edge rusher, you need a defensive back, you probably need a kicker too.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So you've got Pierce and Aim. You got some edge rushers. You got some cornerbacks there. Probably just take the guy off top of the board. You take Pierce, edge
Hmm.
rusher.
A lot of people thought he was going to be a top 5 pick entering last year, and then he put himself on a self-induced pitch count. He limited the number of snaps that he played for Tennessee last year. Really hurt his stock. Still going to be a first-round draft pick, but did not make a lot of sense what he did. He hurt himself last year. So that takes us to 28. And Detroit, I don't know that they need a wide receiver. It's got a wide receiver listed. I mean, they've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got Jameson
Yeah.
Williams. They've got a good tight end. That would make a lot of sense to me. What I think they're going to do is continue to load up on the defense because they saw all the injuries last year start to mount,
Mm.
and you just don't know how that's going to bounce back. Even though Hutchinson was so good, how does he bounce back from a significant injury like that? And there are a couple really good edge rushers. One Scourton, who's kind of shot up the board, and then Shamar Stewart, who did not have the production in college, but everybody says he's got the physical stature. So I think this is a luxury pick that Detroit's going to go Shamar Stewart kind of on a reach here and say, hey, if we can develop you behind Hutchinson, maybe you can be a third down situational pass rusher.
I like it. Dan Campbell, get him inspired,
Mm-hmm.
get him jacked up and ready to go. Now brings us to the Commanders. Need a running back, need a guard, need an edge rusher, need a quarterback. You can never go wrong, I don't think, with the cornerback. So I'm going to take Amos, the guy out of Mississippi. Your head coach is a defensive guy,
Mm-hmm.
and in that
Yep, Dan
division,
Quinn.
yeah, you gotta have corners in the NFC
Mm-hmm.
East. So I would go
Yep,
with
got to
the
find a way to slow
Commanders.
down Philadelphia some way, somehow. You're
Yes.
right. So now Buffalo.
Ooh.
What position can you draft that's going to help you beat Patrick Mahomes in January? That's the only question. That's it. That is really the only thing that Buffalo needs to care about. Edge
Yeah.
rusher, linebacker, corner are the needs. But to me, it is getting Patrick Mahomes on the ground, getting your defense off the field. And so what's going to be the question there? And I think they go the other edge rusher from A&M. I think they go Scourton because they know what the needs are. They're by far the best team in their division. And so they got to beat Joe Burrow and they got to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and rushing the passer is going to help them do that.
Yeah. Well, and it's got to get out of their heads, dude.
Yes,
Honestly,
that too.
I think that the headspace is as much a problem as anything. That brings
Mm-hmm.
me to the Chiefs. We need a guard, need
Mm.
tackle, need a defensive lineman. Might probably need a tight end because I think this is going to be Kelsey's last year. You
Mm-hmm.
also need a running back because there are a lot of needs.
Yeah.
Pacheco's not stayed healthy. You, you picked a lineman last year, he didn't pan out. I don't know that there's a lineman that just jumps out at you at this point. Um, Connerly from Oregon, I don't know. Uh, Needing a lineman, I'm thinking Williams from Georgia. Because you've done pretty good with SEC defensive lineman Chris Jones, for
Mm-hmm.
instance. So I would go Williams from Georgia.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. And honestly, I don't think he's going to make it all the way down to 31, but he did today. And so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Philadelphia and the final pick of the hospitality room mock draft.
Yes.
And we're not doing trades, but someone's trading into this pick. There's no doubt
Oh
about
yeah.
it. Whether it's Cleveland's, whether it is the Giants, whether it's the Steelers, somebody else is going to trade into this pick for one reason and one reason only is the 5th-year option. So
Mm-hmm.
whoever it is, I'm gonna call it Cleveland's because I think that they would do it. They don't have to move up very far. So Cleveland's going to trade into this and take Shedeur Sanders. And we're about to have a mock draft because we're not doing trades. It's going to have one
Ooh.
quarterback taken in the first round. But that's if this plays out, that's what would happen. But if I'm
Yeah.
Philadelphia and I have to pick at 32, you look at what your needs are: wide receiver, guard, edge, corner. You got to replace all the defensive players that left.
Mm-hmm.
So many big time players on that side of the football bailed on you. You traded a couple away, Gardner Johnson. You've got obviously a Milton Williams left in free agency. You got to shore up that defense. I think Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame, could be in play. I think the interior lineman from Oregon, Derek Harmon, can be in play. But I'm going to go safety, help the back end. I'll go Xavier Watts from Notre Dame at number 32. But
Nice.
if they don't trade out, they've got to find a way to reestablish themselves on that defense side of the football. They've got some really good pieces, all those Georgia players, but obviously those three guys can't do it themselves.
Interesting. Okay, so we didn't have trades. We just had the one
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, Cam Ward, going first. Do you think Sanders is a first round guy?
No, I don't. I
Yeah.
think Shador Sanders is a player that is going to get you fired as a general manager.
A lot of hype,
So
a lot of
it's got a
sizzle,
lot
no
of hype.
substance.
Well, I mean, see, you just look at the tape, and to me,
Yeah.
that's all I have access to. I was in the meetings, obviously. You watch the tape and you watch his body language after a bad play or someone who doesn't do their job, and it's all written all over his face, which tells you he's not a team player. He's not somebody that's going to motivate you to play hard for him or with him.
Hmm.
And that's not what you want from your quarterback. You want somebody who fights through a little adversity. Maybe you want a quarterback who gets one offer out of college, and that's at the FCS level, like Cam Ward, and you got to start at an incarnate word. You don't start with a silver spoon in your mouth. I think Cam Ward has a chance to be a decent quarterback. I don't think it's likely, but I think Shedeur Sanders is an absolute bust, and I would not waste a first round pick on him.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I honestly think of the quarterbacks. I think Jackson Dart. I don't know why. I just
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got the potential. He's not gonna. He could be a Kirk Cousins type.
Yeah.
I mean, he can do all right and get you the playoffs. But I mean, it might take a couple years to get there. But there's
Yeah.
there's no quarterback in this draft that's going to walk in and lead you
No.
on a tear. And
Yeah.
everybody
The
forgets
the
Mahomes sat his first year, which was
Yes.
good.
And most of the good quarterbacks are the ones who have had some success and did that. Jaden
Yes.
Williams sat for some time. Drake May sat for some time. It wasn't a full season, but they sat long enough. And all of a sudden, when they take over second half of the season, they played pretty well. Obviously, what Williams did with Washington was crazy.
Hmm.
And you're not going to expect that for most young quarterbacks. But they don't. There's too many Anthony Richardsons in the world where you just instantly throw them out there and they fall flat on their face. Or there's a Mac Jones situation. I'll speak from the Patriots. You throw him out there,
Yeah.
he has a little bit of success, and all of a sudden you change the coaching staff on him. You change the offensive coordinator, and all of a sudden he can't figure out how to read a defense. And so
Hmm.
you really have to use the kid gloves with these young quarterbacks. You got to put them in advantageous situations, and that's why we're starting to see more head coaches become former offensive coordinators because they know they have to take care of that one position. Everybody else can figure it out, but that one position, that quarterback, is so important.
Yeah, and it's like the sooner you put them out there, it's almost to their detriment
Mm-hmm.
because they lose their confidence and just
Yep.
they get beat up. And I mean, they're gonna make. That's the crazy thing. It's like people fall in love with all the stats and the underwear Olympics and all this crap,
Mm-hmm.
but they forget. I mean, you've got. Granted, you have to have some failure to elevate you to success, but you can
Yep.
have too much failure putting a rookie out there
Absolutely.
with the
Yeah.
speed of this game. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
this is not
So
college.
the one thing I've taken away from all the stuff that I've watched and read in this, and I've talked about it on this show a bunch. I love Mel Kiper.
Hmm.
Everything he says, I'm all about. The strength in this draft is not 1 through 25. The strength in this draft is 10 through 50. It
Hmm.
is guys who are going to come in and be able to contribute, but there are not many superstars right away in this draft. If you take away Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, there probably aren't many, if any, superstars in this
Hmm.
draft. But there's a lot of players who are going to be coming able to help you. What I thought found the most interesting is they said that Cam Ward would be a fringe top 4 pick last year. He might fit into that conversation of Williams, May, and
Hmm.
Daniels. Shador
Yeah.
Sanders would be QB7
Yeah.
in last year's draft. The offensive tackles, the Patriots are talking about taking Will Campbell. They said he would be offensive tackle 5 in last year's draft. All the pass rushers, would be at the top of the list. You take this year's pass rusher, DNs, D tackles, and put them in last year's draft, they all get drafted higher than the guys that did last year. It's just the positions of need are different than they were last year, but we all know that quarterback and defensive pass rushers are always valued. And so, of course, Tennessee is going to stretch themselves and take Cam Ward probably 20 spots higher than he should go. But that's the nature of the beast and the quarterback in the NFL.
Well, it's because you whiffed on Will Levis.
That's right.
It's the same. You look at the top picks, the top 10 picks. It's a lot of
Same
times it's
teams.
the same teams every year,
Mm-hmm.
and yet the teams at the bottom of the draft are the same teams at the bottom of the draft every year.
Mm-hmm.
Usually because they maximize the value
Yep.
of their picks.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a couple trades, especially toward the end of the round. And number 3 and number 4 is going to turn the draft. What the Giants do and then what the Patriots do. If you asked me 2 days ago, that I was like, there's no chance in the world the Patriots are trading out. But just that smoke starting to billow out a little bit more. And all it takes is one team willing to pull the trigger and offer the moon because they want Genty and they think he's going to be that final piece that puts them over the top. Then all of a sudden the Patriots got themselves some draft capital. Or maybe the Jaguars. Maybe the Patriots obviously take the offensive lineman and then somebody trades to 5 for the Jaguars because they think they're going to take the running back and they offer the moon to them.
And so much of it, too, is what organization does the kid end up in?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so vital because if you end up in the wrong organization that you're not a good fit with,
Yep.
you may never get another opportunity.
Yeah, completely agree.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you had to pick one player to watch tomorrow night, who would it be?
Well, I'm going to go homer on this one. It's not going to be tomorrow night. It's going to be Friday night.
Okay.
David Walker, defensive end from Central Arkansas. He's from Stuttgart.
Yeah.
Started his college career at Southern Arkansas. Finished at UCA, multiple-time All-American. Has worked himself, 6'1", maybe 260 pounds, but his power, his leverage, has worked himself into being a top 100 prospect. And may find himself in the 3rd round, likely the 4th round, but shows that a kid from a small town in the state of Arkansas can still achieve the dream. So I'm pumped for David Walker, not just because he's a fellow UCA Bear, because he's an Arkansas product.
No, I like that. And which teams were coaching at the Senior Bowl? Because I think those are the 2 teams most likely to get him because having dealt with him on a daily basis, they get it and they see it.
Yeah.
And that's the advantage, I guess, of your coaching staff being at the Senior Bowl. Because he stood out. He made himself some money, hopefully, there.
He did. He dominated some high-level offensive tackles, and he plays at a position of need. We're talking about that, quarterbacks and pass rushers. He plays at one of those key positions, and so that's why he may be a 3rd-round pick because those edge rushers may start to come off the board pretty regularly, and all of a sudden his value keeps going up because there's fewer and fewer pass rushers available.
Very, very good point. All right. Well, I think that will do it for this mock draft. Before we go away, final words as we end this year's excellent mock draft.
I'm excited about it. I think if it goes that way, there's going to be a lot for us to talk about next week. But more importantly, as soon as this draft wraps up, we only got about 2 weeks till the NFL schedule release comes out. That's going to be mid-May, and now we can start to plan for next fall. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know we didn't talk about the drama with the Amalivas, and I phrased it that way on purpose.
Yes.
So obviously the quarterback from Tennessee, a quarterback from Arkansas, both transferred to UCLA. I'm very, very intrigued to see how that whole process plays out and see if somebody gets sued by a university.
Yeah, I mean, that's just bizarre. Okay, one guy can play quarterback at a time. Both brothers are going to go to UCLA.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of cash.
Right. Somebody's going to have some feelings hurt. That's what's going to happen.
It's just bizarre. All right. Final word.
Yeah, awesome draft. We'll see. Tell us how dumb we are with our mock draft.
Yes. And